Once upon a time, in a faraway land, a lovely princess was born. The king and queen named their daughter Aurora. They invited everyone in the kingdom to the palace to celebrate her birth. Everyone except for the evil fairy Maleficent. The wicked fairy was so mad about not being invited that she snuck in anyway, in a flash of lightning, and she put a curse on beautiful Princess Aurora. Before the sun sets on her 16th birthday, she will prick her finger on a spinning wheel and die. Then, Maleficent, in a flash of thunder, disappeared. Luckily, 3 good fairies were at the party, and they softened the curse with a prophecy that said, "If this will happen, you will only sleep, not die. Your sleep will be ended when your true love gives you a kiss." The 3 fairies disguised themselves as peasant women and agreed to raise Aurora in the woods to keep her identity a secret until the night of her 16th birthday. The years passed and Princess Aurora grew into a lovely girl. She only knew the 3 women as her aunts, not as fairies, and they called her Briar Rose. The evil fairy Maleficent was always looking for her, but never could find her. Briar Rose always dreamed of meeting a handsome young man and falling in love. Then, on the day of her 16th birthday, a prince was riding through the woods. The prince heard Briar Rose singing. He asked her to dance, and before they knew it, they had fallen in love. Briar Rose had no idea he was a prince from a nearby kingdom, and the prince had no idea that she was really a princess. The 3 aunts were busy baking Briar Rose's 16th birthday cake. Briar Rose returned to the cottage and told her aunts about the stranger she had met and danced with. The aunts told Briar Rose her real name was Princess Aurora, and she would be returning to the castle that evening. The 3 fairies brought Princess Aurora home to her eagerly awaiting family. Everyone thought the princess had escaped Maleficent's evil curse. But no one knew Maleficent was hiding upstairs. As soon as Maleficent saw Aurora alone, she put her in a trance and led her into a room with a gleaming spinning wheel. "Touch the spindle, touch it," said Maleficent. Princess Aurora obeyed. She pricked her finger and fell to the floor. The 3 fairies found the sleeping princess and were heartbroken. They must now find the handsome stranger the princess had met in the woods. The fairies found the prince, and when he heard the news, he raced towards Princess Aurora's castle. Maleficent was waiting to stop the prince, but she was no match for the prince, and he made his way to the peaceful, beautiful, sleeping Princess Aurora. He knelt by her side and gently kissed her. Slowly, Princess Aurora opened her eyes. She smiled when she saw the face of the handsome stranger from the forest. He was her true love. Aurora sat up and took his hand. The prince asked Aurora to be his bride. "Yes, of course," replied Princess Aurora. They would live in his grand castle, close to her parents and her fairy aunts. Princess Aurora and the prince lived happily ever after. A long time ago, a beautiful young woman was forced to live in an enchanted castle with a hideous beast. Belle had agreed to be his prisoner in place of her father. Belle soon discovered that she and the beast were not the only people living in the enchanted castle. To her surprise, she found out that the former servants of the castle had been magically transformed into everyday objects: a teapot, a teacup, a candelabra, a clock. Meanwhile, the beast was very nervous. A long, long time ago, the evil witch who had turned him from a handsome prince into an ugly beast had warned him that he must learn to love and be loved to break the spell and turn back into a handsome prince. He had lost all hope until he met Belle. He was afraid she would never ever see him as a prince, but only as a monster. "She is so beautiful, and just look at me," he shouted to the servants. Mrs. Potts, the teapot, told him, "You must help her see past all that," she said. The candelabra agreed with Mrs. Potts. They told the beast to be a gentleman, compliment her, be kind, gentle, and sincere, but mostly to control his temper. The beast invited Belle to dinner, but she said, "No, thank you." The beast got very angry and roared, "If she doesn't eat with me, she doesn't eat at all." Despite their master's orders, Mrs. Potts secretly fed Belle dinner. Mrs. Potts and the other servants entertained Belle, and they all laughed and sang, "Be our guest." Belle was very fond of all the servants, but wanted nothing to do with the beast. Only after he proved that he cared by protecting her from the wolves did she begin to trust him. Slowly over time, they became friends. One day, as they played in the snow, Belle watched the beast hand feed the birds, and she realized there was a side of him she had never seen before. A kind and gentle side. The beast was so happy that Belle was no longer afraid of him. The beast wanted to give Belle a special gift for bringing happiness back into his life. He asked Belle to cover her eyes, and he led her into an enormous library. Belle could not believe her eyes when she saw all of the books. "They're all yours," said the beast. He knew how much she loved books. "Oh, thank you so much," she smiled. Belle read many books to the beast, and their friendship grew very strong. They each found they could talk and laugh with each other as they could with no one else. One night, a very special evening was planned. The beast wanted everything to be perfect. He worried very much about how he looked. The candelabra and mantel clock helped him to get ready. They told the beast how handsome and elegant he looked. When he saw Belle looking so beautiful in her ball gown, the beast bowed. At dinner, the beast was the perfect gentleman, and when Mrs. Potts began to sing a love song, the beast asked Belle to dance. She said yes, and they danced in each other's arms. The servants watching from the doorway were so happy for the beast. They would not have guessed that the beast's love for Belle would send her away. But he told Belle she was free to go. He could no longer keep her a prisoner. Belle left to visit her sick father. The beast's heart was broken. Villagers attacked his castle and he could not fight. He let them come in. Belle realized she belonged with the beast and returned to find him. Belle found the beast wounded and dying. "At least I get to see you one last time," said the beast, gazing into Belle's eyes. "No," cried Belle. "I love you." All of a sudden, a great beam of light beamed down on the beast. He returned to his human form. Belle stared at the handsome prince in front of her. "Belle, it's me," he assured her. Looking deep into his eyes, she saw her friend's gentleness and love. "It is you," Belle cried, and she kissed him joyfully. Fireworks lit up the sky, and all the servants became humans again. To celebrate this great event, the prince and Belle had a fantastic ball in their shining, perfect castle. Belle wore her stunning evening gown, and the prince looked handsome and dashing. All the servant friends attended the grand ball as well. Belle and the prince danced in each other's arms all night. It was very clear for all to see how much they were in love. Belle and the prince lived happily ever after. Long ago, in a small village, a woodcarver named Geppetto made a wooden puppet. It looked so much like a real boy that Geppetto gave it a name, Pinocchio. The old man was so happy, he showed the puppet to his cat Figaro and his goldfish Cleo. As Geppetto showed his puppet to his dear pets, a small cricket named Jiminy Cricket snuck into Geppetto's house to have a warm night's sleep. Jiminy Cricket watched as Geppetto set the puppet down and gazed out the window at the stars. "Look at that! The wishing star!" Geppetto cried. Geppetto wished Pinocchio was a real boy. Soon it was bedtime, and Geppetto, Figaro, Cleo, and Jiminy Cricket all fell asleep. Before long, a beautiful light filled the workshop and woke up Jiminy Cricket. It was the Blue Fairy. She had heard Geppetto's wish and was there to make Pinocchio a real boy. She touched the puppet with her magic wand, and Pinocchio came to life. But Pinocchio had to prove he was brave, truthful, and unselfish to become a real boy. The Blue Fairy knew Pinocchio would need help, so she made Jiminy Cricket his helper, so he would help him to choose between right and wrong, and prove himself. Geppetto was delighted with Pinocchio, and he sent him off to school like a good parent. On the way to school, Pinocchio met a sly fox, who said Pinocchio could make a lot of money and didn't have to go to school. Jiminy Cricket didn't trust the sly fox. The sly fox said he could spend all of his time having fun in the theater instead of studying at school. Pinocchio said, "Okay!" and off he went with the sly fox to the theater owner. That night, the theater owner put Pinocchio on stage. He was a big hit as he sang and danced for the crowd. The crowd threw money on the stage. Jiminy Cricket, who was in the crowd, worried. After the show, the theater owner locked Pinocchio up and said, "You will live here and make me lots of money." Pinocchio and Jiminy Cricket wondered how he could escape. Luckily, the Blue Fairy arrived. She asked Pinocchio why he missed school. He lied. She asked him more questions, and each time he told a lie, his nose grew longer and longer. The Blue Fairy reminded him to tell the truth if he wanted to be a real boy. Pinocchio promised he would tell the truth. She fixed his nose and set him free. The next day, Pinocchio met the sly fox again. The sly fox convinced Pinocchio to not go to school, but instead play and have fun all day. Pinocchio followed the fox, not returning home after regular school time. Geppetto was worried and went to look for Pinocchio. Geppetto sailed his boat to search for Pinocchio, and he was swallowed up by a huge whale. When Pinocchio returned home from playing all day, he found this out, and he knew he must save Geppetto. Pinocchio and Jiminy Cricket found the huge whale, and they teased him with the fish. The whale grabbed the fish, the pole, Pinocchio, and Jiminy Cricket, and they were all swallowed into his belly. They found Geppetto in the whale's belly too. They must find a way to escape from the whale. They decided they would make the whale sneeze, and they would all escape when the whale opened his mouth. It worked, but when the whale saw them in the water, he thrashed around, knocking everyone about. Pinocchio had to grab Geppetto to save him. After a while, the water settled down and Geppetto and Jiminy Cricket awoke on the beach. They found Pinocchio lying lifeless on the rocks. Geppetto was heartbroken, and he carried his son home in his arms, convinced he had lost Pinocchio forever. Back in the workshop, Geppetto and Jiminy Cricket cried, and then all of a sudden, the blue fairy appeared. She touched her wand on Pinocchio and said, "Awake!" Pinocchio awoke, and the blue fairy said, "By saving Geppetto, you have proven yourself to be brave, truthful, and unselfish." "I am a real boy!" shouted Pinocchio. Pinocchio, Geppetto, Jiminy Cricket, and all the pets celebrated and danced as Geppetto's wish had come true. Pinocchio was a real boy. Once upon a time, there were 25 tin soldiers that were in a box. The toy soldiers were brave and handsome. Each tin soldier wore a smart blue uniform. One soldier that had been made last had only one leg, as the toy maker had run out of tin. The one-legged tin soldier was as brave and handsome as all the other soldiers in the box. The box was given to a boy on his birthday. The boy placed the box in his room filled with wonderful toys. The tin soldier noticed a beautiful doll that stood on one leg in her ballerina pose. He fell in love with her at once, as he believed she stood on one leg just like him, and she was so lovely. The ballerina thought the tin soldier was so handsome. She fell in love with him at first sight, too. One day, the boy took the soldier out to play by the canal. He made a paper boat and put the tin soldier in it. All of a sudden, a big downpour whisked away the paper boat, and the brave tin soldier sailed quickly towards a dark tunnel. He was very brave and stood steadfast on his one leg. In the tunnel was a big rat who demanded to see the tin soldiers pass. The water came so fast that the rat could not catch the paper boat, and the tin soldier was happy to be out of the rat's reach. The tin soldier wondered what lay ahead as he stood bravely in his paper boat in the dark tunnel. He also wondered if he would ever see his true love, the ballerina, ever again. Suddenly, he heard a great wall of water. The tin soldier knew he was heading for the end of the tunnel, and a great waterfall must lay ahead. He stood bravely on his one leg as his soggy paper boat flipped end over end and sank into the whirlpool at the end of the waterfall. He thought to himself, "I will never see my ballerina again." All of a sudden, a great fish swallowed him up. It was so dark inside the giant fish, but the tin soldier was as brave as ever. After a long time, the fish was caught by a fisherman's hook. The fisherman took the fish home to cook for dinner. Upon cleaning the fish, the cook exclaimed, "Well, if it is not the young boy's toy tin soldier inside this fish." The tin soldier was thrilled to be home as the cook placed him back in the toy room. The tin soldier saw his sweet ballerina poised on her one leg across the room. The one-legged toy soldier smiled when the little boy approached. "Where have you been?" said the little boy. "You smell like fish and are so dirty." The little boy opened the window and tossed the tin soldier out the window. The tin soldier remained brave as he landed on a large bed of petunias below the window. The tin soldier was very sad, but he remained brave as he lay among the flowers. Just then, as the boy was playing with the ballerina on the window ledge, a gentle wind knocked the ballerina to the ground below. Straight into the petunia garden. The brave tin soldier could not believe his eyes when his ballerina landed right in front of him. The tin soldier asked her to stay with him and be his wife. "Yes," she exclaimed, "I thought you would never ask." The tin soldier and his ballerina were married in the flower garden below. In the moonlight, she would dance for him among the flower petals. They remained true to each other forever, living in the lovely flower garden as husband and wife.